Welcome to the Wisdom Check by Tabletop to Keyboard. This is going to be our bi-weekly podcast where we discuss things such as Dungeons and Dragons. Actually, I think maybe we need to turn up my mic a little bit, guys. How about some more game?
More game. This is the Wisdom Check. This is the intro to end all intros. Talk about Dungeons, Dragons, and
Now, I don't think that's proper. This is a family show after all. This is the intro we can use, fellas. It's good, clean fun for everyone. Welcome to the Wisdom Check, where we have wholesome conversations about the dilemmas we face every day.
Nah, hold on a second. I got your intro right here. Yeah, that's better. Welcome to the Wisdom Check. Well, I'm right, Jeff's wrong. We're gonna have guests on to talk about it. It's gonna be awesome. Because I said so.
He is right. He did say so. I don't know. Is surf music the best music for a podcast about D&D?
Fuck yeah.
Okay.
This just in, nobody can agree on our intro for this podcast. So we're just going to start. Welcome to the Wisdom Check. Roll for initiative. Fuck. A 1. It's like every time.
All right, and we should be live. There we go.
All right. Jeff, why don't you go ahead and kick us off here?
Well, we got to follow right off the start there. Thank you for that. Yeah. So, welcome everybody to the Wisdom Check. I am Jeff, and with me, as always, is Dustin over there on the far side. And we are joined tonight with a lovely couple here. And they run a company called Found Familiar. And they do some awesome game-related coffee. So, as an avid fan of coffee, I am excited. And we're going to be going over quite a bit of things tonight. We're going to do a little bit of departure from our typical approach of how we start things off with talking about gaming in the general sense of how you got involved. Because we also have another person that's going to be jumping in tonight. And that's Dustin's wife, actually, who has a bit of understanding and expertise in the topic at hand. And the topic that we're looking to get into for tonight's session is we want to talk about a little bit about gaming's relationship to mental health, and in particular, how we kind of explore our own minds, through the exploration of the game itself. So, with that all, I guess I should let you guys say hello instead of just long-windedly ranting over the top of you here. So, why don't you go ahead and give us a hello there?
Hey guys, we're Found Familiar.
Awesome. And, of course, Dustin can say hello over there because he's been a little quiet.
Hello, everybody. That's all right. I was just getting some stuff set up here, so I was letting Jeff do the open today.
So we, as you can see in the chat over there, we're going to also be doing a giveaway at some point here. So you'll have to stick around. We're going to let people kind of have a chance to kind of trickle in. But if you're subscribed to the channel at the time and you're here, you may have a chance to win some of this awesome coffee. So we'll stick around for that. And of course, we're getting all kinds of follows immediately as I say that. So great. It works. All right. So let's kind of get into that topic there a little bit. So, I mean, we've kind of touched on this a little bit in the past on some of the other shows, that for a lot of gamers, there are some elements of, social anxiety. Depression's kind of a common one, I would say. These are issues that are pretty prevalent in the general population, but in gamers, it seems to be a very common thing. And I could attest for myself, I've dealt with depression for most of my life and social anxiety as a child. And I would say I definitely gravitated towards gaming in some way to kind of deal with that. In retrospect, as I kind of look back on some of my characters, I see a lot of, work being done, I guess you would say, on those issues, maybe not overtly, but, if you kind of look and dig in deep, you see the threads kind of playing through there. Yeah. So is this something that you've observed in your player base?
observed it myself, just like you were talking about. I think a lot of times when people think about the therapeutic nature of D&D and other tabletop RPGs, they think of building social skills and stuff, and it's important too. A lot of times it's used to build social skills for teenagers and kids that don't have the ability to like appropriately communicate or to feel empathy, or it's another good one, forming friendships and holding those friendships and cooperating. Absolutely. But yeah, you get into mental illness, and there's all sorts of things that D&D and TTRPGs alike can do to help you just to understand yourself, to practice things in a safe environment where
that's
you don't
the big
really
one.
Have any like real repercussions or consequences.
I
think that's a big thing.
Yeah, I think there's that added layer of separation between you and the NPC or the world in general is very nice. You know, it's a testing ground. As you were saying, there's that protection in there. Let's see. Buddy's sound is so quiet in comparison. Do I need to up the audio? Yeah, chat, just
You
let us
might
know.
want to up them up just a little bit. I was just noticing that as well. I turned my speakers on to...
Okay, well, I'll tinker with that. Why don't you go ahead and keep the conversation going while I mess with that.
So I guess I was trying to catch up a little bit on what you're saying. So what you were saying is a lot of people use game as a way to sort of explore their own personal problems, their own things that are going on in their life. For me, it's always been because I always do the opposite. Game for me is always an escape.
Yes.
So like sometimes my characters will have a personality trait of mine. So, you know, you can't always get away from that completely. But for me, it's a time to shut down everything else and to just get away for a while. So for me, it's always been kind of the opposite. I don't feel like I do a lot of exploring of myself and my characters as much. Maybe a little bit here or there, and a few characters I could pick out a few things.
Right.
But I think for me, it's always kind of been the opposite. It's been that in video games has always been like my escape from reality for a little while.
Is that about what it's like for you?
Yeah, that's kind of more how it's like for me. I'm primarily a stay-at-home mom, so I mean, other than when Aaron's home from work, the extent of my adult interaction in society is picking my son up from school, the 5 minutes I see other parents out there, or when we get to play D&D.
Yeah, right.
I can actually, say bad words if I want to.
Yeah, I can imagine that as a huge importance. Like, spending a little bit of time with my nieces for an afternoon, like, I really just miss that adult communication after a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's become apparent. I DM the game for her and a few of our friends, and it's really apparent like how big of a de-stressor it is for her, especially.
For sure.
And how much important it is for her. So yeah, it's nice we get to do it once a week if everything lines up. But nature of D&D, yeah.
As an adult, yeah, it's impossible.
When the damn kids cooperate, right?
It's looking like maybe can you guys move your mic a little bit closer to you guys?
Yeah,
just because you're sharing, it's maybe in a little less than ideal spot.
Back and forth.
Yeah, there we go. That I think will probably do the trick for the audience there. Yeah, so like it's interesting, Dustin. You were saying that you don't really see yourself exploring these things. You're using it as more of an escape, but in and of itself, that's another component of this whole mental health and therapy in a sense. Having that opportunity to kind of get outside of your own life a little bit and kind of vent or experience something that's just not your day-to-day activity. It's I can't imagine going through life without having one of those options at play. Now, in terms of the actual exploration though, there's definitely a tendency to play with different concepts in a character, right? For me, when I was socially kind of a little awkward as a kid, I started off playing characters who were very similar to myself. They were silent and kind of leaned back and all that kind of stuff. But over a little bit of time, I actually kind of got into experimenting with more social characters. And as you were saying, kind of beginning to do those things in a way that weren't risky for myself, you know?
Yeah.
And it was interesting because you force yourself in an uncomfortable position doing that. But you're with a group of friends that you trust, and, you know, you get to kind of open up a little bit and get some practice in a way that just doesn't happen in other places.
Right.
Yeah, and that seemed to really translate over time to just my day-to-day life. And it honestly kind of bettered me even in the workforce, you know, which was really surprising. I would say like LARP was like the big one for me. So I don't know if you've done those.
You find these friendships and stuff in D&D where you feel safe enough to do those things, to pursue taking the riskier routes, I guess you'd say. For a lot of people, though, D&D is their first time coming in to actually building friendships. They may not have friends outside of D&D, and they actually come to find friendships in there and build a good like social base. As well, to empower them in a lot of things. I was reading something about how D&D actually cuts down on the effects of bullying. Like, not so much that bullying doesn't happen, but the way bullying affects people and kids. Because they build up this this social structure into them of friendships and people to fall back onto, to where they have someone to talk to, you know, someone to text or whatever that they know from the table or whatnot. And then in comes the escapism as well. D&D provides that area to escape, you know, things like that.
For sure. And, you know, I think some of it too must be that just the general structure of game, you know, that you're a team, you're working together to overcome some kind of obstacle. You know, it's something that's overwhelming in a lot of cases, but you pull it together with good, you know, planning and good teamwork, hopefully good rolls. And, you know, in the end, you learn to face things that probably, you know, scare you in a way that maybe doesn't just happen, you know, day to day. And so I could see that really being super helpful for, you know, kids that are bullied or even adults who are bullied in, you know, the workplace, for instance.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So I know that currently you guys run a coffee business. So you guys are in the coffee selling business currently. Do you have any background in mental health at all?
Mental health is personal mental health issues. I'm actually pretty open about my mental health issues. I try to be transparent about that because there's a lot of stigma behind that, and really it's not uncommon. Like there's so many people that struggle with mental health issues and they hide it. It's really sad. Shouldn't be that way. So I try to voice my mental health issues. Actually, just on Twitter, was it yesterday? I was having really bad anxiety attacks. Like it was just, my anxiety was through the roof. I actually canceled the D&D session that was supposed to happen yesterday. It happened today.
Oh, wow.
Because I just wasn't in the right headspace to DM.
Yeah, these things happen.
Yeah, but it was nice because I have a good set of friends that I DM for that understand that, and they're really they're cool with me taking a day off and really supportive. I got a lot of good texts from them, everything just saying like, hey, just take it easy, you know, get well and all this stuff. But yeah, with mental health issues, D&D does provide that escapism and ways to kind of tackle things without repercussions in a safe environment.
Yeah, and I think you're right. I think the representation matters, as we've said before, and being transparent, like you said, with mental health issues is just allowing people who, you know, come up in different backgrounds. You know, like, you know, people. A lot of people in my family, for instance, are pretty conservative, and they kind of view mental health in a different way, as, you know, like a moral thing as opposed to, you know, a health thing. And I think a lot of people are kind of in that same boat. So like I really feel like seeing people who are, you know, successful doing things on the daily, that seem to have things all put together, and having them talk about the issues that happen at home, it makes a big difference for people, and particularly I think for medications, like there's still that stigma of taking medications, and again, that's who knows how many people, probably like a third, half, somewhere in that range, taking things for mental health, but nobody talks about it, so it does certainly make a difference, and I think that the trusting environment is what you need, whether that's with your therapist or your gaming group, and I think that's probably why somebody that's super trained in social work or psychiatry in general focuses so heavily on building that rapport.
Yeah, and just as a sort of way here, I actually have a therapist here on hand because I happen to be married to one, so represent know quite a bit about a lot about what we're looking to talk about on a more professional level than someone like me, who I do science, but not that sort of work. So I'm going to go ahead and bring her in here because I think she can bring in a lot of expert opinion and into the topic that you guys are currently going about on hand. So this is my wife, Tara. She's an LCSW, the state of Illinois and Indiana. So Tara, if you want to come up here, I think I've taught her how to use the push to talk on here. We're going to see how well this goes.
All right. Hi, Tara.
Hey, Tara.
Welcome to the party. Good to have you.
Thanks. Did I do it? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you just fine. So, I don't know if you have been able to hear what we've been saying up to this point, but we've been talking about mental health as it relates to gaming and how representation is important to us in this day and age to see people utilizing these games in a way that actually develops skills to deal with social anxiety or general anxiety in general. I guess we'll keep using the same words back and forth there. Depression, and other mental health issues that may come up. And we're interested in hearing some of what you may have in terms of experience with the professional world on that.
Sure. Yeah, there's actually a lot of benefits to role-playing and gaming in terms of mental health. Some people use it. I heard Dustin talking about how his perspective is a little bit different than some of the other people. Some people like to use it to explore different parts of their personality that they may not portray in the outside world. But also it's really good for like trauma processing. We think about play therapy as for kids, but really adults can do it too. It's just a way to work through something that you've been through. And so that using the role-playing world is a lot safer sometimes for people than actually talking about their personal experience directly. So that's one of the ways. It's an escape. Sometimes people like to turn off their brains and forget about what happened to them. And so they use role-playing for that. And then one area that I think a lot of people use it for, although they may not call it this, is something in my world, we call it resource building. So I would like to be more brave, maybe, for example. I'm not a very brave person, so I'm going to role play this really brave character. So I'm going to emulate that. And by doing that, our brains actually build some of that skill. So those are some of the ways that I think it's really helpful. Yeah.
Now, I would definitely say that I've seen that in play. I mean, I've seen players in the LARPs that we used to run, develop all kinds of different skills, playing different characters. In particular with the vampire LARP, you get put into a lot of political positions. So you have to take on leadership roles or, become very clued into what social movements are, and being aware of how to, convince people to do things you want them to do, and these are interesting skill sets that, they're hard to develop on your own,
Absolutely. And I think the cool thing about like the gaming community, especially like the LARP that I've been exposed to from you guys, is that you trust the people that you're with. So even if they're strangers, you have a common language, a common community. And so you can do that in a more comfortable environment than out in the quote unquote real world.
Now, have you guys experienced any of that around the table in your home games? Anyone really utilizing it directly for those purposes? Or do you find it's just kind of a tangential thing that just happens?
I can't say I've personally seen it in our game. I think our game is mostly the escapism. Yeah, it's a group of high school friends. Like we all went to high school together. We live in different states and stuff, but
Sounds familiar.
yeah, it's mostly an escapism thing for especially like what Lindsey said. Just finally to get to be an adult and have adult interaction with other adults rather than just
talking to kids
all day, answering the same question over and over and over and over again. So
yeah.
but,
Mommy, why? Yeah.
I mean, I find it as the DM for our game, I find it helps me with thinking quickly. Like they keep me on my feet, like as all players do for any DM.
Of course.
They always take the road you never expect them to take. So quick thinking skills are built with that. Just being able to think in someone else's shoes. Like for a DM, you play usually through every session, God knows how many different NPCs, and if you're really trying to make them seem like their own individual personalities and different people, you got to think like them too. So you really do put yourself in somebody else's shoes with a different background than you, and it kind of gets you to think of things in a different way.
Oh yeah. I mean, the empathy is very powerful once you start getting into DMing. Like I said, unless you're trying to play like caricatures or something like that. But, as you kind of develop that ability to improv, and you get more comfortable with that, I find that it's a lot easier to get into the characters, like you were saying, the personalities, and more specifically into just how they think. What's their worldview? What's the filter they look through to get from point A to point B?
Right. They have completely different desires than you, and different things that drive them that could be complete turnoffs to you in real life. And being able to drive that character is it's challenging.
And I think it's interesting too, because when you're getting in the shoes of that person, it creates an understanding of that person in a different way, not just on an emotional level, but just being able to understand where they're coming from at any given point. Like how are their arguments formulated, and that kind of thing.
Yeah, and to take it a step further, then when you can see another person's perspective like that from their being in their shoes, then you just your worldview expands. I think you can you're less judgmental, and you can interact better with just the world in general.
Oh yeah. Hey Tara, can you step back just a little bit? It's picking up your headphones on the mic. Awesome.
Sorry about that.
I know, you're fine. Yeah, so it's very fascinating how it works. And actually, while I was at GameholeCon, I sat in on a panel where they had a couple psychiatrists that actually run a campaign called Clinical Role. And it's specifically about therapy. They bring in groups of people that are going through, a particular issue, and the game is designed whole cloth around the idea of treatment. And different kind of skill sets are being developed. Different narrative angles, I guess, are being sculpted in a way to address those specific needs. And they're starting to do some research on it. So they're working on a book. It'll probably be out in a couple of years. But, if you're interested in that sort of topic, that's definitely something to check out. And
Awesome.
It sounds pretty cool. I'm looking forward to the book. Like the little lecture they gave was really fascinating. Just looking at the differences in, like the gender relationships to things. Like if you have a female group versus an all male group, the kinds of things that get focused on and the issues that come up are a little bit different. They were talking about how for guys, it tended to be more about, overcoming something as a team and like learning teamwork as a kind of a core issue. Whereas it was different for the women. They were more sensitive, I guess, to relationships and the way that the interpersonal dynamics were at play. I thought it was pretty fascinating. I don't know if obviously I've never played in an all female group, obviously, because it's just not possible. But it's one of those things that there are things in different tables that are going to be different. You know, like if you got an entire group of people who have anxiety, that's going to play very different than you know, a different table. So I don't know what to make of how it's structured. Like, can you like imagine putting together a game with that in mind? Like, how would you kind of approach that?
Oh goodness.
I
haven't.
She's never
DM'd,
DM'd, I guess. I know there's, like you were saying, there's like clinical role. There's groups that do things like that for, especially for like children. I know I've heard of games that have been ran for younger girls, like all female groups, where there's the self-rescuing princesses.
Right.
They don't have to rely on Prince Charming or a man to come in and save the day. I think that's important for girls growing up to understand that, you know,
you can save yourself. You don't have to wait for someone else.
Exactly.
For sure.
Yeah, it's a safe place to try out empowerment and industriousness and things like that. Yeah.
100%.
Now, when you're writing games, do you ever find yourself processing things in the form of your the structure of your games, like NPCs or plot threads or anything like that?
Can you elaborate?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm not sure if you're doing homebrew or if you're doing modules, so that may really change the way things work.
We're currently doing modules. We're actually just wrapping up Dragon Heist right now.
Gotcha. Okay, so maybe this won't apply quite as much, but in the way of, you know, if you were doing a homebrew campaign, you know, and everything was in your creative wheelhouse, could you see yourself actually creating a game where you were exploring issues like you were describing, anxiety being something you deal with?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. I try to keep things like that in mind and understand. I was actually just talking about this a little bit on Twitter today with some of our customers. I try to keep that in mind when I do homebrew and like world building. That it's a fantasy world. You don't have to go with like what happens in the real world,
right?
Sort of thing, you know, like you get to explore so many different avenues and things. And if you know, we were talking about racism. Racism doesn't have to be in your game because that's how the world, you know, real world is.
Right.
The fantasy world, you know, so you can take what you want, put in things that you want, take things out that you don't want, and really explore all these different avenues and see how things work. But I try to keep, like I said, things like that in mind where, you know, I have, trying to think how to put this. I can't think exactly the best way to put it. But yeah, I keep things like that in mind where I change things up and explore different avenues than what you would usually find in the regular world. Because it's fantasy. You know, you get that opportunity.
Absolutely. So you're finding that you're presenting different scenarios and obstacles than the real world, just to give a different flavor. Now, specifically though, do you ever frame scenes to kind of relate to your own experiences? You know, in terms of anxiety, or do you ever put your own fears in? Like, for instance, I'm arachnophobic, so sometimes, you know, putting a spider into a scene is a big deal. You know, like, you know what I'm saying?
Maybe I will. Maybe I will.
Challenge.
Yeah, that sounds like a challenge. But no, I haven't really ran too much as far as homebrew though, so I don't have a lot of experience in that realm.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So we did it barely for a little bit, and I realized how like in over my head I was.
Yeah.
With homebrew, because there's so much work to a homebrew campaign than there is like with a module that's already pre-built for you. And
of course, we weren't staying like on the path that he had kind of like directed it on, so he ended up just improving the whole thing, and then it was just overwhelming. So
it became stressful almost. Yeah. Every single session was just like 100% improv, and it was fun in some ways, but in other ways it's just like, I think leading up to the session was worse, where I was just like, oh my god, where are we gonna go, what are we gonna do, like
he would be stressed out like the whole day before we played, and then after he would be okay because it went fine. But whole day that anxiety factor would kick in. Of
that's the secret sauce of games.
I can't keep up on it. Yeah.
Nobody wants to believe it. It's just like we were saying before. Nobody shares and discusses medication or mental health. Well, the same thing with DMing. Like, nobody talks about the fact that before game, you're having a mental breakdown, anxiety attack. You have no clue what you're going to do. The game starts up and immediately you just start going. And it looks totally planned. Yep, that's the plot the whole time.
You can only do so much. Like, you can only prepare so much as the DM. They're going to take it off the rails. It's going to happen.
100%.
You can't control it.
There's no way that a rail will ever be stepped on.
So much.
Even if they go on the rail, they're going backwards, Yep. So it's pretty cool. So like the chat's saying, dwarves don't always have to be Scottish. Yeah, that's kind of a fun one too. Like there are some built-in biases in gaming towards, what's been established already. Like so your Tolkien kind of stuff kind of bleeds into it. Let's see. Okay, just looking at chat there real quick. But, it's fascinating that, we have these biases kind of built in, obviously because media comes from our own culture, and there are things that are being described and explored, through the media game, so like, it's one of the fascinating things is right now the new Pathfinder book that just came out, Pathfinder 2nd edition, has got away from calling races and now they're ancestries. It's like a little subtle linguistic change, but it is important to kind of get away from those kind of hardened, this group of people is always this, Yeah, I'm kind of curious to see how many of those sorts of things are going to start coming up in other game systems along the way.
Yeah, I need to explore different game systems for sure.
Yeah.
I've been stuck with 5e because that's what I was introduced to, so I haven't broken away from it yet. I love it, so it's kind of hard to break away and try other things when I'm like so in love with this one system and everything that it's given me so far. And I feel like there's a million other things I still have yet to, discover with it.
For sure. Now, Tara, how much gaming have you gotten into? Have you kind of delved into more than just the little bit I've exposed you to with the LARP?
No, I'd say I've been more of a casual observer.
Mm-hmm.
I hear lots about it, and especially now that you guys are doing that game with Levi, I get to hear a lot about it and experience it secondhand. But it's interesting because my own anxiety kind of prevents me from doing game because I get too nervous and my brain shuts off, and it probably would be really therapeutic for me to do it to work through some of that, but I'm not at that place. So
yeah, well, that's an interesting thing to kind of explore. Like, when you're getting new players into the game itself, that is a very common thing. Finding a table you could play at, finding one that you're comfortable in. Those are big issues in general. And there are a lot of barriers in play. Whether it's just meeting strangers, finding people who have a geeky hobby, which thankfully now is a little easier. But nowadays people actually will tell you they game as opposed to hiding it.
Right, it's not a dirty little secret anymore.
Yeah.
So that's a big difference. But what sorts of things you think would help break that barrier down for you?
I think being with a group that I feel comfortable with, that I'm more of an introvert. I'm not super outgoing. And so being with you guys, the couple of times that I've gamed with you guys, I was only able to do that because I felt comfortable with you guys. So I think building my confidence in that way. I think if I were playing more of a thing that I knew was pre-planned, kind of like how they do instead of the homebrew, so that I know that there's a little bit of structure already built into it, I think would help me just starting out as a new player. So
okay, so playing in an actual structure, yeah, because I guess in a homebrew there can be that feeling of kind of an open world, and I guess just like in real life, somebody says you can be anything. Sometimes that can be overwhelming, as opposed to, hey, this is the job you're going to do, go do it,
Right.
Do you find that stuff like making characters is something that makes you anxious about starting a game? Like, would it be easier to just be handed a character, or is that not an issue?
I guess I see both sides in that because I'd be one of those people that would want to explore part of my personality that I don't normally explore in sort of outside of my own home. But also it would be nice to have, because I don't know the gaming world as much, to have someone say, here's a little bit more structure in how you should do this, or what kind of person you should be, or what kind of character you'll play. So.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, so what about at your guys' table? Do you find that, like when you guys got started, did you give out characters that were pre-gened, or did you go straight to letting people kind of come up with their own?
100% let them create their own.
Okay. Now, what about like backstories and stuff? Was that something that was important from the get-go, or was that something that just kind of came up over time or not used at all?
We did some backstories a little bit from the get-go, so...
Yeah, definitely. I feel like there are 5 people in our group. I guess 2 of them have been playing for a long time, and 2 of us when we started this, we were brand new. So, I mean, I feel like the people that have been playing for a long time, you know, definitely their backstories were a little more developed than our newer ones. We were trying to, you know, feel it out as we go. But I mean, yeah, we built our own characters. It was, I mean, I had a million questions. I still ask questions all the time.
That's good.
You know, I think part of the anxiety of getting into it, I'm fairly new to it also. I mean, I've probably been interested in it for, you know, 2-ish years. I've only really been playing in a campaign for 1. And I've only played as the character I play now, other than the handful of one-shots that we've done. But I think what helped me get more comfortable in getting able to play it was, you know, watching podcasts of people playing it.
Okay.
So you can, I mean, you know, the idea of you can do anything, it's so, like, unattainable. Like, I still want, like, to see what some people have done, and then I can, you know, expand off of that.
100%, I can see that.
You can do anything you want. Like, what do you mean I can do anything I want?
Too many choices is terrifying, you know, because you know, if you have 3 choices and you pick one, you don't have too much buyer's remorse, you know. But like when you have 1,000 things to choose from, you're sure that something else out there was the better choice, even if you got the right one, you know. Let's see. So chat had some interesting things they were saying here, that they were speculating that some of the anxiety, in particular around personifying a character with like a voice in particular, seemed to kind of come up with people becoming phone anxious.
Oh, yeah.
Now, is it just me, or is that like kind of more of a new phenomena? Like, I mean, when we were kids, it seemed like, you know, the phone rang, you pick it up because it's a landline. Somebody's got to pick it up. You answer it. That's just normal day-to-day thing. But it does seem like there's a huge number of people nowadays that are terrified of the phone.
Yeah, I agree. I remember back in my day, the phone ring, it was an exciting event, not to date myself. But I think I see actually a lot of that in therapy. We work a lot on that social anxiety from the phone. And I think part of that's technology is texting has made it so that we're not forced to talk to each other as much, or like even like online ordering for pizza and things like that. So I have seen a rise in that and who I treat in therapy and what some of their issues are.
For sure. Yeah, and one of the other things they were talking about here was trying to catch up on chat. It's moving actually pretty quick tonight. They were saying that this is to Jedi Cake, saying that they were looking at multiplayer games and voice chatting in those, and people being really uncomfortable with that. And I could see that in particular, usually games nowadays that incorporate the voice chat are usually competitive, team-based kind of things. And I would say those are like the most ripe for just anxiety-inducing, you know, bickering, fighting, you know, blame games and all that kind of stuff. So that's super interesting because like that is a really tough thing to navigate.
Yeah, I remember when playing Halo, voice chatting, and everyone was talking. Every single person, like whether you wanted to hear them or not, was talking. You know, and then I don't remember when exactly it happened, but it's just kind of fallen off. Like online video games, like no one voice chats unless it's like with their specific group of friends. So yeah, that's just something I just thought about. 'Cause I remember voice chatting like it was nothing when like online play kind of became like a mainstream thing, like with Xbox and all that. So
absolutely. I mean, yeah. Go ahead.
I never really played video games growing up, but I mean, I was just, I would watch him play, Call of Duty and Halo and all that stuff. And the thing that I would notice, and I don't know if this has a role in that, is all of the chatting was so negative.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if that's
super toxic,
a big part of it or not. I mean, it was all about, destroying each other, and your mom did this, and who could come up with the best insult, and like it was. I mean, maybe that's the difference between D&D and this, is there's more of a sense of camaraderie. Yeah.
I think you're absolutely nailing it on the head there. Because it does seem like the online system is all about dominance, projecting dominance in one form or another. Whereas, when you're playing a collaborative game, which, tabletop experiences are typically collaborative games, that's a completely different genre. It's an opportunity, and it's a rare opportunity. Most games are not collaborative. If you really look at it, I mean, even like card games and stuff are clearly antagonistic. Playing Settlers of Catan is clearly antagonistic. Yeah. So it is fascinating to see the differences that this particular media can give you. I think that's one of the reasons why I love tabletop role-playing games. It's something to do with your friends, to even with your DM, like as you're the DM, clearly you're building obstacles, you're creating things to deal with. But at the end of the day, you're hoping the players overcome it. Even if you said you were a little annoyed that they circumvented the dragon there, but
it's rewarding in a lot of ways, and it's also really nice whenever they find those little Easter eggs or things that you hide that you never expect them to find, and then they finally do, and and when they break your puzzles and some way you never thought of, makes you a little proud, I guess, in a way.
Yeah, it's a cool dynamic, seeing people break out of their shell, come up, figure out new things and that kind of stuff. And even around the table. Oh, go ahead.
I guess the question of anxiety in voice chatting. I mean, this is the only way I've played is online. So for me, I have more of an anxiety factor of playing, an in-person game.
Oh, interesting.
I haven't done that. I've only ever played online over a Discord stream.
Like what kind of games?
It's hard for me to picture myself like just going to a game shop and jumping into a game. That is that would be very hard for me to do at this point.
Yeah, I think it would be kind of challenging. Just there's a lot on display when you're doing a game. You're being you, the social entity. You're being you, the actor. You're being you, the skill-based player of a game. Your table etiquette is on display. Like, there's all these different aspects that you have to have on point to make that land. In a group of probably a lot of introverts who are very, standoffish towards anybody coming into their territory. Right? So it's like a particularly challenging kind of arena to get into. Like, I don't know that I would succeed in that one either. Just come to think of it.
Yeah. All right, guys, I'm going to hand the mic back to Dustin. Thank you guys for letting me come on and talk to you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for coming on.
It was nice meeting everybody.
It was wonderful. It was good info. All right, so we'll tag Dustin back in. Have fun sitting on the couch back there.
I was actually eating my dinner. So thank you guys for giving me a chance on a Monday night to actually eat. I get out of work, I run home, I hop right on here, and then we get going. So
fantastic. Well, I'm assuming you didn't hear any of our chats, so
just a little bit from my phone back there. I didn't have it turned up too loud. I didn't want it to bleed in on the mic. So
right on. Well, we have been talking quite a bit about kind of the anxieties of joining a new table. The difficulties of people getting into social aspects of gaming.
And that's why I had to have my wife come on here, because I'm an extrovert, I make friends with people standing in line at the grocery store. Like I give no shits. I have no fucks given whatsoever when it comes to that stuff. So I have no problems. I'm the extrovert of the group. That's why I run the social medias and all that stuff around here, because I'll talk to anybody. I don't care.
Yeah.
True.
See, there's times I feel like the extrovert, and then there's times where like I just get to the point where I'm overwhelmed and I need to recharge away from people.
Yeah.
So it's like really hit or miss for me. I don't know.
Yeah,
Is that how it is for you?
Yeah, it just depends on the day, I guess. I mean, some days, you go to the store and you're like, don't talk to me. Like, nobody talk to me.
Yeah, I mean, I was definitely an introvert to start, but I've become more and more of an extrovert. Like, I really thought I would be completely just wiped out from all the social activity I've been doing over the last few days, but I'm actually just jonesing to go out and talk to more people. It's very strange.
See, that's funny, because as an extrovert, I'm the opposite. The more I, even here on Twitch or like on stream, the more I wall myself into this man cave, the more I have this urge to get out and go do something. Like, after a while, it kills my soul. Like, I have to get out. Like,
well, let's. We got a lot of people in the chat here. I think this may be the time to start looking at that giveaway and talking a bit about.
First, we would talk a little bit about how they got started with the coffees.
Yes,
because I'm assuming this is. How long have you? Tell us a little about how you get started with Found Familiar. And a lot of people are coming here for the coffee. We want to hear a little about the coffee before we give people a chance to find out what they could possibly win by subbing tonight. So.
Okay. Well, we'd always wanted to start a business together. We just never knew what. So
the idea is the hard part.
Yeah, the idea was always the hard part, because like you get this idea and then you would go online and do a little research and see that a million other people are doing it as well. And you're just like, you get that hesitancy to jump in and do it because there's so much competition and everything. And I think with this, it was almost like a light bulb moment, really, to be honest. I remember just talking to her over the phone, and I was just like, baby, we want to do coffee, right? Mm-hmm. We like D&D, right? let's put them together. Like, what do we put them together? I was like, is anyone doing that? I don't think anyone's doing that. There are other people doing that, but
that's how it always is.
Found out. But we did a lot of research, and
we didn't find them until after we started.
We didn't find anyone selling like specifically D&D based coffee or tabletop role playing game like themed coffees.
Mm-hmm.
And ours are a little different. That we have
added the layer, right?
Yeah, we have a strong a big part of this is supporting artists within the community.
Mm-hmm.
And, we commission artists for each different coffee that we have, and I think that's something that really sets us apart.
And it's really good art.
Yeah, the artwork's amazing on the packages.
Yeah, and that was really important for me, being an artist myself, and she sees it a lot too online, where artists aren't given the credit that they deserve for a lot of their work. They pour their heart and souls into, and it feels nice, and to recognize these people who spent the majority of their life perfecting these skills that they have, whether it be writing or drawing or music, whatever. Like, we focus on supporting just creators in the D&D and TTRPG communities.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, adding that extra layer kind of set us apart. And it was something big that we wanted to do with the company. Like, we wanted to make a business, but we wanted it to be more than just a business too. And like, we were inspired by people like Critical Role, how they treat their fan artists, just how they've like grabbed onto that and support their fans with their art, with their little art roll before the show goes, and during break and after the show. That means a lot to artists.
It does.
So we kind of thought, like, what would we do, along that line? Like, how could we do something like that? So we commissioned artists to put art on our bags. Coincidentally, they're all Critical Role fans. We just reached out to a whole bunch of artists we know that have created Critical Role fan art, and it took a lot of reaching out to, a lot of people. It took a lot to convince them because we were just random nobodies reaching out to them on Instagram or Twitter, like, "Hey, we have this idea. Do you want to put art on our coffee bags?" And a lot of times we just got shot down immediately because it seemed a little sketchy.
You get that a lot with probably anything in life, right?
Yeah.
The first thing you start asking people are like, no. What do you?
Yeah.
The trick is just doing it, though.
And it felt really good when people, these artists got on board and they saw the potential and just exactly what we were wanting to do with the business. It was nice getting those artists on board and everything, and I think that was probably one of the harder parts. That and just building up the network and the logistics.
Oh yeah.
So
there's probably no end to that.
It's
always changing.
Yeah.
Now you sent us some promo images here, and one of the things that really struck me was just how much of the bag is the art. And I'm going to queue up a few of them here real quick. It's going to cover up Dustin.
Ready to go there, Jeff?
Yeah, we'll see if it works. But we're going to show the meta magic and the rogue panache here.
Yeah.
And we'll transition
While
that.
you're
Hopefully it
doing
shows
that,
up.
In response to Air Laser in the chat, there are 2 decaf labels in print right now.
Oh yeah.
Oh, there we go. Look at that art. It's amazing stuff. There.
We actually held a contest. To name that as well. So
nice.
We held a little Twitter contest and had a whole bunch of people put in their suggestions, and then we took all the suggestions and had everyone vote on them. And then the one with the biggest votes or the most votes got put on there. Yeah, and then we couldn't decide on a decaf, like a single decaf, so we added a second because we were just we were like, we gotta have 2. Like we like this one, we like this one. Let's just do both. We said we were gonna do one. We're gonna do 2. So we ended up picking the second highest one as well and put that on the bag, and then we were crediting those people too.
That's sweet.
We think it's important to recognize our community. Like it feels so good to have these relationships with all of our customers too. Just like we never imagined we'd be building friendships through the business.
Absolutely.
With all of our customers, but we've met a lot of really cool people. A lot of people that the artwork in our initiative means a lot to, and we've connected with them. So
and that's the thing that you find in this community. It's not a huge community. It's actually pretty tight knit. Maybe a couple tens of thousands of people involved in the industry, and there are a lot of relationships to be had. And once you start making a few, you make a lot. So you're on the way. Now, with these particular coffees I got listed up here, I'm assuming that the theme isn't just the name and the image, but probably also carries over into the flavor of the coffee itself.
Yeah. As far as I think the theme, well, we went with naming them. We kind of tried to take the like aromas and flavors into account as well. I'm trying to think, like with Bali Blue Moon, we went with like the darker stuff, like with the chocolatey notes and everything. So we added the like that dark wizard on the front with arcane recovery for Bali Blue Moon.
Nice.
Meta Magic was Sumatra. I can't remember why we went with a tiefling on the front with that, but it just felt fitting, I think.
Nice. Let's see. Let me get a couple of these other ones showing up here for the audience. So the other ones we have are Step of the Wind and Sentinel.
Yeah. Step of the Wind, I remember we went with that mainly because it was a light roast. That would be our Kenya AA.
There's a monk on there.
Yeah, there's a monk on the front of that. But we went with that. I think mostly because it was a light roast, the lighter flavors, and we imagined like a monk being light on her feet.
Oh yeah.
That's about the extent as it goes with like the naming, going to like aromas and tastes and things. But
so then when you went to your artist, did you give them like what you want? You're like, okay, we want a monk on this one. Monk, anything monk's cool. Give it. You just went to them as like, make us something cool, and they were like, here you go. How about this?
Yeah,
just D&D or fantasy, basically anything fantasy art related was their guidelines.
We didn't want to tie them down with anything specific. We wanted their creative juices flowing. We wanted to see them as an artist put into the artwork as well. Like we wanted to showcase them as an artist. So I think giving them too many guidelines and specifics would have hindered that.
Oh yeah.
So it would have put a little bit more of like us into it, which is we weren't looking for that. We're looking for the artist. So we said, hey, this is the name we're thinking of. These are the flavors and the aromas. Draw what that makes you think of, and they just took it and ran with it. So
and they did a wonderful job by the looks of it.
Yeah, we were pretty amazed by a lot of the art we got. Yeah, just blown away by these artists. And they're some of the coolest people, too, we've ever worked with. Super nice, equally as excited about this whole thing as we were. Really cool people to work with. And now, coincidentally, great friends. So, yep.
It's going to be a
We
great
don't add,
relationship.
Flavors to the coffees. Like, you can buy birthday cake flavored coffee or stuff like that. I mean, the coffee is 100% the coffee. I mean, they're single origin, ethically sourced and all of that.
Yep.
Nice.
Good stuff. It's just, we don't add flavor. We just want the product to be pure in itself. And incidentally, we're like just, grocery store coffee. We realized how
stale,
how bad the coffee we were drinking was after we started drinking this, and now it's like, oh my gosh.
Are you suggesting that it's mass produced? That when if I pick up one of those brand names,
if you go, a lot of coffee companies don't do this for this specific reason. They don't print the roasted on date on the bag most of the time. Like if you go to your Target or Walmart or wherever you buy your coffee from, look at all the bags on there and see how many actually say roasted on, which will tell you, like how fresh this coffee actually is. Probably 80 to 90% of them won't have that date on there, and the ones that do will be like 2-3 months back. And coffee usually goes stale. Like if it stays in the bag in whole bean form, you usually got about a month before it starts to go stale. Like I still drink it after that point because
But the flavors, the flavors change. I mean, if
over
you
time,
if you made coffee from beans that were roasted today, and you sealed that bag up and tried it again in a month, it would taste totally different than the day that you first tried it.
We're getting a question in here from chat from Air Laser wanting to know: is your coffee already ground or is it in bean form when you ship it to them?
Your choice.
You can get a choice in that, Air Laser.
You can get it in whole bean. We always suggest whole bean if you have a way to grind it yourself, just because it stays fresher longer.
Oh, okay.
And this is a good chance for us to talk a little bit because everyone's chomping at the bit for this coffee giveaway we got going on here tonight.
It's almost like we're just drawing it out.
One of the things you were very particular about when we discussed this coffee giveaway is that you didn't want to send me a product and then have me send it to somebody else. You wanted it to be as fresh as possible, and you also wanted to give whoever won kind of a choice.
Yeah.
So whether it's ground or beans is one of the options then that you're saying they can pick with if they would be the winner tonight. That they would be able to pick something like that and along with their decaf or regular caffeinated coffee brandy.
We'll help them choose if they need recommendations too. So we love helping people with recommendations.
And you refer to it as like a package. So what all are you going to be giving away tonight? Do you have it with you here? Can you show kind of a example of what you got, or do we know what's up? Does everyone know what's up for grabs? I guess.
Honestly, I don't remember exactly what's up for grabs.
It's technically your giveaway, so whatever you want to give them, just so they know what they're.
Let's do. We'll do a coffee and a shirt.
Oh, nice!
Ooh, a coffee and a shirt. They've upped the ante. This is now a coffee and a shirt giveaway.
Was not expecting this shirt.
Excellent.
All right. Well.
All right. So you want to go ahead and do this thing?
I think it would be wise. So
I think everyone's had plenty of opportunity to sub at this point. If you haven't subbed by now, and we have not yet been graced by the Fruitzilla to come lob subs at everyone else, so you're out of luck if you ain't subbing on your own at this point. We're gonna go ahead and I'll pull up users in chat, and I also have the sub list here on the other monitor. And
excellent. Yeah. Good luck reading through all
It's
that.
looking like we've got 20 people total here in chat. So how about our guest of honor? You got a D20 handy?
Oh yeah.
Nice.
Let's do a good
Why
one.
don't you grab that D20 here, and
She's gonna grab a good one.
you're gonna get a good D20. Get one that rolls a winner.
We've gotten one that she actually made herself.
Oh, no kidding?
So yeah.
Can you get up on the camera there? Oh,
that's
look at
nice.
that.
They make coffee and dice.
Yeah, there's like no limit to the awesome.
That's still being refined.
Yeah.
It's weird that it has like 420s on there. It's strange.
Right?
Man, those they can make your own dice. We're heading to do that next.
It's got little like copper flecks in it, like copper foil.
Oh, yeah.
And there's actually little bits of lavender in there too.
Oh, that's sweet.
So, all
I'll have
right,
to start pushing those out.
I'll roll on the glass table.
And watch the die just like bounce 100 feet off.
It's gone.
11.
Number 11. Let's take a look at that list. What do we got?
I am coming up with. Oh, we got to skip us. Hold on.
Yeah, we can't win our own prize.
We can't win our own prize here. Is Lindy a sub?
Pretty sure of it.
Lindy, let me check my list, but I believe you are.
No.
Could it be? Tension rising. Do we indeed have a Laugh Love Lindy winner?
Oh, Laugh Love Lindy?
Yeah.
We do. Okay. Love Lindy is our winner.
Congratulations, Laugh Love Lindy.
I've seen her name around.
Yeah, she was just streaming earlier. So congratulations. We'll get your info and make sure that you get your winnings here. So, of course, we're already friends because we've had you on the show. So we'll be able to get you in chat, get that all going. King Fishy's already leaving the chat. He's done with us.
Already unsubbing. Sorry, Fishy.
I'm unsubbing.
And the unfollow. Man, that's just mean. But this is how these things go. But
they're claiming your die is rigged.
Rigged to roll 11s. You know, you knew that ahead of time. But yeah, so that's freaking awesome. So you'll be getting a shirt, it sounds like, and I'm assuming a choice of something awesome. So we'll get you figured out.
So for the rest of you who aren't Lindy, who aren't gonna get a coffee and a t-shirt package today, Z Damon there has been doing a great job all chat. I've noticed it dropping the link in there for Found Familiar. I put a panel down there and apparently it ain't working, so I dropped the link in early at foundfamiliar.com/featherfall. Gives our friends over at Featherfall Tabletop a bit of commissions off of some of your guys' hard work on your first purchase of their coffee. So you can go there, use their promo code Featherfall, and you can get it's a 10%. Is that right? Am I misquoting that? 10% off, I believe. So yeah, because they are an affiliate in the affiliate program with Found Familiar Coffee. So if you take that link, you can go buy yourself some coffee if you didn't win some tonight. And we're going to get back to talking about all kinds of awesome Dungeons and Dragons and tabletop RPG stuff from here on out. So
you want to do one more giveaway for a 25% off coupon?
Ooh.
Oh man, another one.
We'll give Fishy another chance.
We're getting
Fishy,
the hook
better
up.
resub, Fishy, resub.
You better resub, man.
All right, let's do one more. We're still
We'll do a
at about
25% off
people.
coupon.
Awesome. Well, thank you.
He's
Very
resubbed.
generous.
Fishy has resubbed.
Refollow has occurred. There it is.
Refollowed and resubbed. All right.
There it is. All right, you want to do it?
I'm afraid it's gonna fall away.
11. No, just kidding.
Yeah, no, we can't give Lindy both. Come on.
We got a 7 and an 11. Okay, so 7 this time. Let's see who that is.
That is it? I'm going to say this correctly. Is it Hepalin 376?
All right. Yeah,
I think
definitely.
he said the beginning of the program.
Nice. Congratulations. So that was the 25% off. Is that what you said?
25%. Yeah, let me write that down to make sure they actually get that.
Yeah, so it's HEPAILEN
I'll make that coupon.
376.
There he is.
Fantastic. Congratulations.
All right.
Paling.
All right. Yeah, we'll reach out to you and get you that coupon once I get it made up.
That is great. I'm totally gonna be
Alright.
buying some coffee after this. I made some coffee earlier. It was so bad. It was like the worst coffee I've ever had, and I still got the bag, so I gotta finish it, I guess. But I'm eager for the next one. That's all I'm gonna say.
I'm gonna get crucified here, but I don't even drink coffee.
Oh,
I love the smell of it, though. Amazingly enough, like I can walk into somebody making coffee, and I'm like, "Oh man, that smells great," but I've just never picked up a taste for it. So maybe I'll have to pick some up and try it again now. I get enough.
It took me a while too. I never used to like coffee. I mean, he would drink coffee like all the time, and every time I tasted it, it just tasted like ashtrays and cigarettes. I'm like, why is this enjoyable? Like, but now
it wasn't. I was like, this is just how coffee tastes.
This is just coffee.
This is just burnt.
It's
not.
No, it was just stale. It was bad coffee.
It's just
Oh,
crap.
man.
And now coffee is delicious.
Yeah.
Like,
Like if you've never had specialty grade coffee, it's a very specific thing. So coffee is graded, like it's on a grading system. I want to say the top 5%. It varies from year to year, just because different growing seasons produce different amounts of coffee. But it changes. So it's about the top 7 to 3% of the coffee in the world constitutes specialty grade coffee.
Oh, wow.
So top 7 to 3% is what I said. 7 to 3%, it changes in quality in the world. And the first time you have specialty grade coffee, it blows your mind, because you never realize that like coffee can taste like blueberries. And you're just like, what? Like it actually has berry flavors to it and stuff. It's crazy. Cool stuff.
So when you get this kind of specialty coffee,
yeah,
how sacrilegious is it to add creamers or anything like that? Like at that point, did you just pick a wrong blend too. At that point? Is that you just have to try a different blend next time, or is it?
Yeah, like our regular Knoll 6-bean espresso blend that we have is amazing as a cold brew, and even more amazing when you add cream to it. So
nice.
We actually just shared something. I think a little animation of us adding our cream to our cold brew for it, and all the cream running down inside the coffee. It's good. You drink your coffee however you want to. You can add whatever you want to our coffee. We don't care.
Nice. So, okay.
Drink it your way.
I'm getting an education tonight. I need this. So, I want a lot of caffeine, and I have a sweet tooth, and I like caramel. What do you have that I'm in the business for? What am I picking up from you?
Caramel?
Yeah.
That would be I'm trying to think what has caramel notes in it. Our Mexico Altura does. Rogue Panache should as well, if I remember correctly.
Nice.
Rogue Panache has a sugar cookie taste. This is the best way that I can describe it. Like these aren't like super pronounced tastes.
Right. Subtle.
These are they're on the back end where you're like, you taste a little bit of it. You get these notes. Mexico Altura would be good. I'm trying to think. I don't know if anything else has a distinct caramel taste. We have some coffee or toffee notes. Obviously, all of them have coffee notes. But,
surprise.
They don't taste like coffee at all.
Nope.
Yeah. We'll have to get our cupping notes to look exactly. Mexico Altura, though, would be a really good place to start, I would say. Do you know if you like dark roasts versus light roasts?
Yeah. I tend to drink the dark notes, but it might be... I might just need to get more palate refining going on here. So
I'm more of a dark roast person. So. Yeah, because you get with lighter roasts, especially with single origins, you get the more berry-like taste. You get the fruity notes.
Mm-hmm.
The coffee is more tea-like as far as body goes and the mouthfeel. It's less thick. It doesn't take cream as well.
Gotcha.
Your darker roasts are usually where you want to start adding cream and things and sugar, because they take them more well. They have more of the chocolatey, the nuttier, and sometimes cinnamon notes to them.
Nice. Yeah, just because it's got a lot of people coming in.
Yeah.
So which one goes the best with rum? Because I usually take my caffeine with rum. So is there a way to make that work?
I don't think I've tried that. A light roast would probably be best with that, though. I would say.
Hey, thanks for the bits.
Oh, we got some bits from Sergeant Baker. Welcome, Sergeant Baker, to the program.
Just showing off some of those bags again there for you guys. Oh, thanks,
Hyperion,
Hyperion, giving us a little
100
gift
bits
for
donation there as well. Thank you.
doing the victory dance.
Yeah, a little victory dance there. 100-bit donation.
Hey,
Both of our winners currently there in the chat. Laughable Lindy won coffee tonight. Hebalen won a 25% gift card. Everyone else, again, find the link there to Found Familiar Coffees. You can go there. You can buy their coffees straight from them. Use the product code Featherfall. Save yourself 10% on your first purchase. Help our friends over at Featherfall Tabletop out. I haven't seen any of them here yet tonight, but I'm sure they're lurking around.
They're somewhere. You got
some good people over there.
Yeah, they are.
Another group of friends that we've made that never expected.
So
they
good.
also, in regards to the anxiety of getting into D&D, they host community one-shots also.
Yeah.
If you want to try your hand at not sure if you want to dive into a full campaign.
Yeah.
You know, probably may not know this. I guess DM'd one of them.
Nice.
The first non Featherfall Tabletop member to guest DM one. That was me. I did that.
Nice.
So a
Awesome.
little while back.
We had a lot of fun when we went in on the last one.
Sapphire
I didn't
Lake.
know exactly what to
Curse of
expect.
Sapphire
Yeah, this is a
Lake.
Curse of Sapphire Lake.
Yeah.
I watched it. I was there. I was watching.
Yeah, it was fun. Didn't know what to expect because we'd never met anyone beforehand. Like, it's just like we got dumped in.
Wow.
We're like, hi, we're Aaron and Lindsey. Like, who are you? Okay. Didn't really know about your name. Yeah.
That's the anxiety thing. I've never played with anyone outside of my 5-person D&D group that I've known since, high school. So,
Yeah.
and here I am, on a Twitch stream playing D&D with random strangers.
She got thrown in the deep end.
Yeah, that's a super deep end.
So one of the things we like to do with our guests is talk a little bit about how you got started. So you said you started clear back in high school?
Yeah. Well, as far as like D&D,
Or just tabletop
just
role-playing
us.
games in general? Well, okay, a little bit of both here, whichever way you want to go with this. Did this happen because of D&D? Are these related stories?
no.
No? All right, well, there was a chance.
We've known each other since we were kids, but as far as like I've always been into video games my entire life. Like any man my age grew up playing video games since being a young boy. But as far as like D&D goes, it's been, I don't know if Andrew's in the chat, he could help me out here. I want to say it's like 2.5, 3 years now. I don't remember when we started playing, but they just invited me. So the same people that are in our campaign right now, Joel and Andrew, invited me to come and play D&D with them just to see, if I'd like it or not. And I was like,
So you're
I'm
starting out
nerdy,
fifth ed.
but I don't know if I'm D&D nerdy.
So
and I
you're
found
coming
out-
in on fifth ed then?
What's that?
Fifth
Yeah,
ed,
fifth-
then
yeah,
you
fifth
came in
edition.
with fifth
Like,
ed. So you're part of this
yeah.
wave of fifth ed new
Yep.
players who came in with this whole
Yep.
uprising of D&D, if you want to call it
Yep.
that, where they're taking over the world little by little. So
Yeah.
That's the plan.
I quickly realized I was D&D nerdy.
Oh, yeah.
Very, very much so. It sort of just took over my life.
It's a great flavor of nerd.
Almost immediately, like I recognized the value in it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because like when they say you can do anything, like I was kind of standoffish, like, can I do this? And they're like, yeah, you can do that. I'm like, okay,
I
can
still do that.
Can I
I'm
do
like,
this? And like, yeah, you can do that.
This
Like,
isn't even tonight. I was like, can I do this as an action? And they're like, yeah. And I was like, okay.
like there's so many possibilities.
The power of yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
But that was, I would say, did Andrew
I
reply at
haven't
all?
seen him. I think you.
He made
I
it.
did not. I didn't see any reply from him. So
Yeah.
Might have got lost in
I'd
the
say
bits
it's been
over
about
here.
yeah, we've had a lot of bit donations coming in there. Thank you all for the bits.
Yeah. So how long has it been for you now?
Playing a year.
A year.
Wow.
Yeah, we watched. I watched a lot of like podcasts and streams before I, was ready to try and play it. I probably watched that for close to a year, maybe a little under.
Yeah.
Which ones did you watch?
Mostly Critical Role.
Mhm.
I think the
Classic.
production factor, and obviously they're good at making stories and playing a character, and I think I just kind of got sucked into it.
Absolutely.
It was a lot of fun, and I think it made it really exciting for me and something that I wanted to try. And there's such, there's so many different aspects. I mean, classes and races and spells, and you do this, but if you do this, then you do this, and it's like it's it's overwhelming if you've
Oh, yeah.
you've never done it. So I think
Yeah.
just getting the basis of watching people who are familiar with it do it. There are even times now that I'm really proud of myself when I'll know like a rule. I'll be like, no, it's this, and then I'm like all proud of myself like right here, just because I've been watching, other people do it. Be like, but
Love it.
there's
So
a
good.
lot of information, but it's fun.
It'll
I've
get
always
in
been a
there.
firm believer. The best way to learn is just to jump right in.
Yeah,
but I
just
was
do.
also the one that just jumped right in, so obviously I'm going to believe that. But
Well,
the
you're
next
not wrong.
best way is to listen to podcasts, watch some streams, because you can pick up really fast on the rules. Just maybe subconsciously, even just watching. Like you start to learn all the different rules. Watching, especially voice actors, professional voice actors play the game.
Well, and that's an interesting
Really easy to
thing
get into.
because you're saying you're getting your taste of what D&D is, and in particular from a stream who is doing it a certain way. So like it's interesting because there are a lot of groups, especially in the old school, where they didn't do any role playing, zero voice acting.
The acting part of it,
They may have had backstories or something, but that's not what D&D was to them. So it's really fascinating to see that the new model that we're seeing is very, very, very role play centric, and in particular voice acting and the personification, which are of course these really anxiety inducing elements, for a lot of people. But it's cool because it's a lot of the new people coming into this stuff are really excited about doing that, and it's
that's what's exciting about being a DM, because I never did voice like the accents or anything like that as a player, but as a DM I really get to explore that, and it's fun.
I do them horribly
voices, though, so.
I mean, I do them, but I just don't do it well. But I don't care. So
That's part of the fun of it, though.
Yeah,
you just the way I figure it is, you can't ever really be wrong. Like, it's your character, and you say that's how he talks. That's how he talks. Nobody can tell you you're wrong. That's just how he is.
Yeah, he just decided to change his accent mid-sentence for reasons.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he goes from Italian to, what was that one time? I went from like Italian to
Jersey or something.
to New Jersey or something crazy. Like it was.
It's always Jersey.
It was more of a wild swing than that. Like it was for Bolo too. Like I went back and forth on it until I was like, all right, yeah, we're just doing Italian.
Every time he goes to talk, you just spin a globe, throw a dart at it. Wherever it lands, that's the accent he's got for the next couple sentences. It just shows that he's well-traveled. That's all. He's well-traveled.
Exactly.
That's what it is.
You find a point in every character where you wish consistency wasn't important. Like, I picked a voice for my current character that is just...
That's a little bit of a little bit DM, and you like assign a voice to an NPC, and then you go away from it for a while, and then like in real world time, like months later, you come back and you're like, oh god, what did that NPC sound like? And like the players know.
Oh, they know. Of course, they know.
Players 100% know. If you use the DM, you're just like, I should have taken better notes.
Let's see, was it generic German 1?
Exactly.
Yeah, you got to keep those voice acting notes. Yeah.
Recording yourself.
Oh, that would be well.
Spoken as.
I'm way too critical to record myself too much. Like just the amount I stream already, running games and playing in games already. I already listen to that and like critique myself way too much. I couldn't like start recording myself like when I'm like my table game yesterday at the game shop. I run a game on every other Sunday, and I do voices and stuff for it too. And if I had to listen to myself back there, I would probably be mad at myself because I'm sure it doesn't ever come out the same twice. But
well, the good news is we're doing streaming, so it automatically gets done.
It does. I know. Here I do, and I go back and I watch way too much of it.
We got a bunch of purchases going on in the chat
We
right
do.
now.
Our chat's turned into buying coffee time, which sounds like good news for
They're
you guys.
making it happen.
Maybe some new customers out here, some lifelong ones,
Yeah, feel free to toss those links around for Found Familiar. And those links are acceptable, so toss them around, talk around. Yeah, keep talking about what you're going to buy.
And for those of you who get products too, if you follow them at Found Familiar on Twitter, go ahead and post your products and tell them what you think about it once you get them as well.
We absolutely love that, by the way. That's like the highlight of our week. Like when we start getting those in, because like we're really bad about like checking the tracking and everything. Like when a huge batch is going out, and we like get on Twitter, we're like, oh, everything's going out today, and then we see all these like pictures flood in, and yeah, it's awesome. And almost every single time, everyone's just like, I could smell it from like 30 feet away.
Oh,
It's really amazing when you see how synonymous coffee is with Dungeons and Dragons players. Like, I don't know, growing up, it was always Mountain Dew, right? It was always like, hey, where's my can of Dew and my dice, you know? And now it's like, I think we've all grown up, and you see people now, it's like, where's my coffee? Like, it's like a whole different sort of culture now than what it was. Like,
that's part of the thing, like what made us like land on coffee and D&D together, like just like all these things just kind of like fell together, like it was just like perfect puzzle pieces, and we're just like, it just makes sense, like, and that's why we were like, why is nobody doing this? And then we found out people are doing it, just not to the extent I guess we are. So,
well, yeah, and again, you're bringing something really cool to it. You know, the art appreciation is awesome. I mean, my dad's an artist, so like I'm a little biased maybe, but you know, it is really something cool to look at that bag and see it, and to think, I want to keep the bag after I'm done using it. You know, like, who keeps a bag of coffee? You know?
Right?
We're in the process of framing all of our stickers.
Like
right
that's crazy. Nice. Yeah, we just got a whole bunch of frames in, like little 4x6 frames that were literally framing the labels because like the artwork on it is just so good. We're like, we got to hang this up in our house. Like, this is just
Now, how many artists are you working with right now?
Oh man,
put you on the spot.
No, it's fine. I want to say it's to initially start off with, it was 6. But we've added 3 more technically.
We have 3 coming out. 3 new ones coming out next
week, we can't say too much about one of them. So we have the 2 decafs coming out,
but
with
it's exciting.
2 brand new artists.
Now, when are the decafs coming out, by the way?
Should be sometime, let's say end of this week, next week at the latest.
Like super soon.
Yeah.
The labels are being printed right now. They should be being shipped.
Yeah,
so.
we sent out the order to our printing facility, and we're waiting on those to be shipped. They have to go through like a bunch of proofing and stuff before, and they had to go through an FDA check too, because the FDA requires a lot of like specific information on there. Like, coffee has to be like so big on the label, like it has to be like apparent that that's what's in the bag, and all this stuff. There's a lot of like little things that the FDA requires. So a lot of things
it could be coffee or just brown stuff.
Even release coffee, like, if we have the coffee ready. So.
Gotcha.
It's another reason why, like, the FDA is another reason why we don't put like D20s in our bags.
Yeah.
So, like, God, I love that as a kid, opening a box of cereal and having a toy in there.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen anymore because the FDA, for good reasons. The FDA has good reasons for that, because you don't want someone like half sleepy pouring all their coffee into a grinder, and now they got bits of like
melted plastic
D20 in their coffee that they're drinking.
I taste a note of flaming plastic.
How hard would it be just to make a D20 out of coffee beans? Like, you just
drop it in
already,
there,
right? You just drop the D20
about, like,
coffee in there.
Suspending a coffee bean inside of a D20. How cool that would be.
And like tumbles around.
Recently had like SpaghettiOs in it. So if they can make SpaghettiOs inside the dice, you can manage coffee beans. I guarantee you, you can make this happen. You just got to get a hold of one of the dice companies out there. Be like, we got this idea.
Yeah, we've had a few ideas like with dice that we've experimented with. A lot of them fail, but it's just it's fun. It's a nice little hobby. But what was I saying? Oh,
there was originally 8 artists that we were working with. Now
originally 8? That many?
Now there's 11.
Wow. Yeah. Well, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, Jess Sketchin, Jessica Nguyen, she did a lot of the art for us.
Nice.
She was.
We just kind of got to talking to her, and then she was like as excited about it as we were,
if not more.
Like,
like
art,
just art. So yeah.
She made our banner for us on our website.
Yeah.
That it's like the backgrounds on our phones. We're both obsessed with it.
Oh,
we're
so
obsessed
good.
With Jess's art. She actually just recently did the official artwork for Critical Role too, for their
nice.
Their Wendy's one shot. Like,
yes,
she did all the art for that.
So good.
Yeah, it was
so ridiculous.
I don't even know what to say.
Like, I don't even know how these things happen, but the tie-ins are real. Speaking of tie-ins, people are asking for our link to our Teespring account. We do have mugs now. I don't know if we still have the awesome mug that I personally got because it was on our our first run of things that may have never existed again.
Yeah.
But
Ink and Ignorance, he's talking about Green Leaf Geek. We bought some dice from her. They're fantastic. Do I have them down here?
Yes, I do.
oh, nice.
Some of them.
Some of them. Yeah, check out Green Leaf Geek. She makes some really good dice. Let me see. It's not a D20, but she does some really good ones too. Like that's got like
It's so hard to
Oh,
find.
yeah,
really
the
hard
camera will
to
get it eventually here.
it's like teal and orange.
Oh, yeah.
Instead of like
Nice.
There it goes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful.
But I got a whole set of those. I bought 2 sets, and then she threw in a free one for us. So it was,
Oh, that's amazing.
yeah, really nice of her.
What can we say?
Her out.
Gamers are generous,
Yeah,
man.
she's a fellow Canuck. She's a Canadian.
Did you hear that, Air Laser? They're Canadians.
They're Canadians.
You're all
Invaded America.
So this
We
is
like Canadians. We're NHL fans, so
oh,
we love
there you-
hockey. So naturally, we love Canadians.
got to. I mean, that's the only way you're getting a sport. That in Chicago, maybe. So good. So yeah, this is a match made in heaven, is what we're trying to say. We got great coffee.
Yep.
We got mugs for coffee in our store. We're gonna keep coming up with some new stuff, by the way. So new shirt designs coming out, new emojis. We're gonna come up with all kinds of crazy stuff like phone cases, maybe leggings.
We have a super discounted shirt for people who've been on the wisdom check with us, by the way. If you haven't seen the design for it, Clint, our tech guy, put it together. It's fantastic. So you can find it on there as well.
So we'll have some of those things going for you. All right. So that's a pretty good plug. I think that worked out pretty well. So yeah, we were talking earlier about working out, exploring yourself in game and kind of getting into those sorts of issues. I'm kind of curious with the chat. We've talked a bit about this already, but have you guys been, working through things or exploring new skill sets or any of that sort of thing in your games as a player or as an ST, really? And so if you have, go ahead and put a little something in the chat for us there, and we'll kind of feed off that a little bit. We'll give them a little bit of time for that. And I guess we should also be plugging our other sponsor. So we do have a dice
We're
company.
plugging all kinds. It's a day of plugs around.
Apparently.
Let me tell
It's
ya.
an infomercial
When we get to
night.
the outros tonight, I got some other stuff I got to plug too. But it's a day of plugs around here. Coffee and plugs. That's what we got going on here on the Wisdom Check tonight. So
Yep. So we got
Fishy-
the Die Hard
now we got
dice.
Fishy dropping that link in there now too for Found Familiar. So everyone, make sure you check in those.
So good. Yeah, so we've got all kinds of great companies out there pushing awesome stuff and, just making the world go round. So we'll let the chat kind of percolate a little bit on that. So you're talking about 5th Ed a lot as a game you've been playing. Are there other games that really kind of jump out at you want to try out that you haven't got into?
I want to try something like cyberpunky.
Oh, yeah.
I really like cyberpunk. So like that seems really appealing to me personally.
Mm-hmm. What's drawing you to that one?
I don't know. Like I've always just liked cyberpunk, just the aesthetic of it. Something about it has always just drawn me to that. That punk. Like there's steampunk, cyberpunk. There's all sorts of them, but never really cared for steampunk. That's just me though.
Yeah, everyone's got their own taste, What about you? You're like 5e. That's it.
I don't know. I mean, I think right now I'm still figuring out 5e. I mean, I would maybe try another edition before I jumped into something.
Yeah. What's
Well,
different.
from 5e, the easiest game to transition into from 5e is to go to Pathfinder.
Pathfinder?
It's basically like alternate D&D for people who like more math. Is pretty much how Pathfinder rolls, like Jeff.
There's
So
another
if
system
you-
I've seen out. Oh, go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean.
No, go ahead. No, I was
you're the
gonna say,
guest.
It's
You cut
the
us off.
easiest
It's
one
fine.
because it uses most of the same terminology and the same mechanics, the same classes. A lot of times you'll find fighter, cleric, and they're exactly what you expect them to be coming from 5th ed back and forth. So it's the easiest one if you want to try another system. To me, it feels too much like D&D. It doesn't feel like I'm playing a different system that much, except way clunkier and way more
awesome.
Pop the hood and tweak the engine sort of experience, if you will. And then, after that, there's a whole bunch of, whether you want to dip into low fantasy with something like Zweihander, whether you want to go into something cyberpunk. It's Zweihander, yes. I saw you guys picked up Grim and Perilous today, so I was going to bring out, they do a Cyberpunk Red. I think they're doing on that channel sometime soon, too. So if you check them out at Grim and Perilous Gaming, you might be able to find some Cyberpunk on there.
Yeah, I've been talking to Grim and Perilous actually recently, but Zweihander, like I've seen it a lot on Twitch lately. I don't know if that's a recent thing or if I've just been
they got partnered on Twitch recently, like right after Gen Con. Our friend Matt Jowett, who runs that channel for them, they got partnered, and so a lot of us out there have been picking it up and running our own games as well. So they're definitely growing their online. They're definitely growing their online community a lot. Yeah. So being in their Discord, I see it pretty regularly. Yeah, Sergeant Baker from Grim and Perilous is here in the chat right now. So
nice,
Sergeant Baker.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of people are getting plugged in. Like you're getting plugged into the groups that are playing it, but also there is a big push right now. The community is very strong. We see a lot of them here, and they support each other, and it's a cool game system. We had a lot of fun talking to them about that and everything. And I'm reading through the chat right now, just kind of keeping up. Art Chaos apparently just went and bought $75 worth of coffee, even discounted there.
$75 worth of coffee.
Nice.
Thanks, Ark.
So that's pretty good. And Ink and Ignorance gave me an answer earlier. They were saying that the Grave Domain Cleric that they're playing is helping them confront the fear of death. That's pretty interesting. Yeah, so are you taking that character into, like, really looking into the themes of that? Or is it just by playing it and having a different relationship as a character that's helping you? Because, that's pretty fascinating. I hadn't really thought about that one specifically, I guess. Let's see, I'm trying to read some of these other ones here.
Yeah. It puts you in a position where you're have a more personal relationship with death, I guess, and having to interact with it, just that idea more than normal and face it.
Maybe, sometimes we get so attached to our characters that, if something happens, the dice rolls wrong, and, sometimes you have to say goodbye to your character, and I think to some people that can, become a part of them, and, kind of like losing a pet or a friend or something at some point if you've been playing it for years. The
character death issue is that's a tough one. Like we did a whole segment about that one. Just especially once you played a game for a long time. Like if you had a character for a year plus, you've been through a lot of different sessions, really just going through the ringer, exploring different aspects, getting different relationships. And then you have that one scene just go wrong. And, you hope it's a good scene where it's, lives up to the character. But sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it's just that stupid die roll goes wrong, and that's the end, But even that's something to deal with.
Hopefully you have a DM who can at least, make something, big, happen. Like, have them go out big. Give them their nice little scene. But...
yeah, that was something that Critical Role did a good job of.
Die roll just ends it.
I think the narration is what's important. I think back when we were growing up, it was like die roll went wrong, something happened, boom, you're dead. Sorry, friend, you're dead.
So hard.
What do you want to play next? Was the next thing that came out. So I was like, okay, so what are you going to play next? There wasn't any of that level of attachment all the time to the characters necessarily. It was like, oh, that sucks. Oh, do you have another one ready to go? Like you already had one in your back pocket in case this happened, right? So you just pull it out, unfold the sheet. Oh, look, now I'm a monk. Who knew? So, but I think it is important that if you are playing in a longer campaign and something happens that the DM and you take time to really narrate that scene out so that it has some closure to it, and there's something, give you a second to give a few last words before you actually bite it, and make it something interesting. And we did do a whole segment on character death, 30 episodes ago or something. Jeff, that was like
At this
one of the
point,
first ones
yeah.
we did. You got to dig way back into the archives of YouTube to find that episode now. So it's on there, though, I promise you.
Yeah, see,
we have Jedi Cake coming here. So
that's
specifically
Andrew.
roll. Is that Andrew? Okay. He says he specifically rolled a bard high charisma character to try to help his social anxiety by singing, giving inspiration. By singing, by giving inspiration. Still have trouble with it, but hopefully he's getting better. So.
Oh yeah, dude.
It's a
Do
good,
you actually
good thing
sing?
to do.
Jedi Cake, do you actually sing?
He does his little he tries to throw out inspiration a lot.
Mhm.
So
Ambitious mockery.
bad with improv.
That's nice.
Yeah, see, that's a fun thing, just to challenge yourself. You're like, if I can use this ability or this spell, I have to do with a little jingle or something, like, it doesn't say that in the rule system, but it's a good challenge for yourself to kind of get out there and do it.
He used vicious mockery tonight and actually killed a baddie by mocking them to death.
Look at that.
I love it. I love it when that happens. It's so ridiculous, but
Yes.
Air Laser is like the best mod we don't actually have listed as a mod. She already pulled up the link for our character death conversation from months ago. So see, she's on the ball. She's mod of the year right there, Air Laser. You're still working on that mod of the year award, aren't you?
They said they were excited to try Metamagic. That's the one I've been drinking a lot lately. Ooh. It's really good.
So you consider it the house specialty? Is it the house blend to try if you're going to try one? Is that what you're?
This is that bag, by the way.
Because I personally like. It's so hard to pick a favorite. Yeah, it's so hard to pick a favorite for us too, because it's like choosing your favorite child at this point.
I like Metamagic a lot. I'm
Ropanache too.
I'm hooked on Sentinel right now.
Yeah.
Sentinel. All right, let's
So
bring that
it's
one
a
up.
house divided at home, huh? Do you fight over? Do you have his and her coffee makers?
No.
Do you have to put them in
We do
separate
the same
rooms?
French press.
Okay, so it's not a fight over which one you make in the morning, then, huh?
No.
No.
No, what was it about those two that they're standing out for you? Like the Metamagic, what's its thing?
Metamagic, I think it's just the way that it's processed. It's different than a lot of other places, just because, like, coming from Indonesia, the humid environments there, it doesn't really dry out the coffee. Like, before they ship it, it doesn't dry out completely. So there's all these different processing methods, like wash and sometimes, like, wet hold. There's a ton of different these processes.
Coffee is way more complex than you would think it is. It's almost like if you've ever really gotten into like wine or something like that, like the grape origins, and this grape was grown here, like it's
in this soil at this altitude.
Right.
Yeah.
It's confusing if you like delve into it.
Are you trying to tell me that coffee beans don't all come from Juan Valdez and his trusty school in Colombia? Because I've been raised to believe that that's the truth. That's where coffee all comes from. Man, that's my whole life lie. Who knew?
So, yeah, generally, like when beans get shipped out, like the green beans, when they're sent out to like from the farm to distributors or whoever buys it, usually they're dried out for days at a time. Whether it be like on suspended beds or whatever. Or like Indonesia, it's
thanks for the sub.
Only like halfway, maybe a little more, before it's shipped out, just because the environment there. They have the same problem actually with wood, with their exports, as far as like wood goes. A lot of people say don't buy wood from Indonesia because they don't have the time or take the time to dry it out completely. So you get it and then it splits. So, but that's not a negative thing for like coffee. You get a really unique taste out of it. So it's more of an earthier, trying to think how the best way to describe it. It's almost like I don't want to say spicy. There's a spices type taste to it, where it's like just like on the tip of your tongue, a little bit on the back as well. But I like Metamagic for that reason, because it really encapsulates like what I would imagine a dark roast should be. Like everything I think of a dark roast is in Metamagic for me.
That's a good answer. I'm happy with it. No, it's awesome because like people are passionate about what they're doing, and that's the coolest thing that I got into at the convention was every single booth I went and talked to, or people like you that are just like super passionate about the product they're putting out. They believe in it. Every little detail that maybe didn't have a background to start with, but they went in, they learned it all, they understand the process now, and they can share that with other people. Give people like me who are like, I like coffee. I don't know why. I just like caffeine, I guess. And you're like, here's the reason you like that specific thing, because these little subtle bits here.
That's something we love to do too. Like I was saying, we love to do recommendations for potential customers and everything. Because a lot of people don't know exactly what they want or what they like in coffee, especially when it comes to specialty grade coffee, because it's such a spectrum. We just have to pick like little things that like they've noticed when they drink coffee that they like, and just kind of put it all together and choose out of right now the 13 roasts that we have, and soon to be 16. But
Nice.
So you guys are based now. You're saying out of Kansas City. So are you? Yeah. Are you guys have a coffee shop there? Is there like a home base where you can go to found familiar coffee shop? Because Kansas City, I've been there once. It seems like the kind of town where a coffee shop like that would kill. You do some hella business if you had something like that.
We keep getting asked that, but we're taking small steps at a time right now before we get way over our heads.
Because you look at the rise of things like craft beer breweries, wineries. Those things are huge. I mean, everywhere you go, there's a winery or brewery. Like they're putting them on street corners everywhere. Coffee shops are the next thing I think that's going to happen, is the return of that coffee shop. So I think you got onto something here. You gotta get in there while the getting's good.
Yeah, coffee. I think the coffee experts consider this, I think, the third wave of coffee. The second wave was instant coffee, just the mass production and instant coffee was second wave. And this, where we're getting into the craft sort of deal with it, with beers and everything. It's starting to take off. It's and like you said, we're kind of jumping into this where we kind of imagine the curve is starting to go up.
Yeah,
and
the old inflection
it's
point
happening with D&D as well. I think right now. Since 2012, I think 2012 was the low point, and then 5th edition came around, and the Critical Role came around, and all these things Stranger Things, celebrities like Joe Manganiello coming out and saying I'm a D&D nerd. People are
oh, it's cool. I can be cool.
Are
cool.
Big into it. So we're starting to see this curve of D&D popularity go up, and with coffee popularity going up with craft coffee and stuff. We were just we need to get on this train now, before it leaves.
You're doing a good thing. It's freaking cool. Thanks for people that are tuning out there. If you go to bed, because I know it's late, but I appreciate you guys coming.
We understand.
Appreciate the lurks for those of you lurking.
Definitely. Yeah. We had Ink and Ignorance finished his thought up there somewhere. Where did it go?
It's been buried under all this coffee chat. It's the chat is for real.
Just buy some, get shipped up here to the Great White North. That's what I see.
I got you. Yeah, he was. Let's see. Ink and Ignorance was saying, we were talking about that character from earlier about things they're overcoming over time with characters, and his grave cleric, and he was saying that it's having a character worships that kind of deity gives him the ability to kind of look at it from a acceptance angle, which it's really cool. Let's see, did I miss anything else in the chat? Trying to do a good job of keeping up with it, but it is moving tonight.
Yeah. it is a hopping one. I've been trying to keep a close eye on it while I'm listening to them talk about how they make their coffees and stuff. It is a hopping place tonight. So we appreciate everybody who's here watching. So we got it. Sorry, I was looking there again. I thought we had. Oh, he's plugged it somewhere. Thank you, RKS there for the plug. I figured he was over in someone else's stream plugging us there. I was confused about what it said there for a second. So.
Much appreciated. So we'll definitely have to get in some more gaming stuff here. So watch as you guys explore some more systems, or since you just wrapped up one, when's your next campaign starting up?
I don't know. I think our next session, we're probably gonna explore a little bit of closure for just the events that just happened and all that. And I think we're gonna break away from Waterdeep because it gets old staying in one city, for so
Yeah.
long. Like it's been a year now, just
Wow.
in Waterdeep alone. So
Are you going to continue being the
Dungeons
DM,
and
or
Mage and stuff too.
or
What's
is
that?
Lindsey going to step up to the plate and run a game?
Yeah,
Huh?
do a one shot at least.
Someday.
You should. You should. Everyone should go out and try to run a game at least once. The first time you run a game, there's going to be problems. It's just a given. But you will learn so much, and you will appreciate so much of what goes into a game. And
Oh yeah.
just go in, try it. If you got a team around you that's, that they're friends, they like you, they love you, they want to see you succeed, you'll succeed. You'll do well.
Right.
They say you gotta see one, do one, and teach one.
Yeah.
So that's where the DMing comes in, is that teaching part. Because at that point you're helping everybody else playing a game at that point. So you gotta watch a game, then you gotta play in a game, and then you have to DM one, and then you really feel like you know your system pretty well at that point. So
Absolutely. Thanks for the bits there.
I still don't know the system very well.
Yeah, that's the secret again.
Yeah, teaching, DMing, and playing.
You know what they say.
A lot.
Wisdom always arrives 10 seconds after you need it.
Yup.
So, and that's how D&D works. You get in a situation in a game, you need a rule or a mechanic you don't know, so you wing it, and then you look it up after the fact. You're like, oh, that's what I was supposed to do.
Yeah, you're like, oh,
and then you got to write the next time.
Yeah,
when it comes up next time, you know what you're doing. So you're.
No, and that's exactly how this show came about. Was hey, we learned some stuff after we screwed it up. Anyone want to listen to what we screwed up before? You gonna like this? All right, cool. We got a whole show, guys. We got like 3 years of material ready for you. Dustin and I just being idiots for years. It's so good.
Lindsey, the meme queen, would be a fantastic DM.
Meme queen?
She is the
Are
meme
you a meme
queen?
queen? If we'd have known that, we would have asked for some memes to put up here on the overlay for everybody. We would have demanded.
What is it you say? You talk what now?
Oh, I prefer to talk in GIF and memes.
Yeah, she
GIF
talks
and
almost
memes.
It's like a real
exclusively in GIF.
conversation on the internet. You're probably talking to Aaron. If someone replies with a GIF, it's probably me.
So do you have like a go-to GIF?
No, I'm just really good at
She's got
finding content relatable.
It's super good.
Yeah.
So,
Because you've seen our intro, it's all GIFs.
Oh,
I need to watch it.
When you're done, you can put the intro back on. It's all GIFs. We haven't changed it yet. We keep wanting to, and the fans keep insisting that we keep the current intro.
yeah.
So we're discussing about kind of getting into phase 2 here of tabletop to keyboard, and one of the things we've been talking about is some new intros and some working on some stuff like that, and
I
introduction
still like
to
the idea of the new
things
intro.
like that, and we want to do one, but every time we bring it up, the fans get mad, so we just keep leaving it.
All right, let me pitch it real quick.
There it is. Keep the intro. It's already in the chat.
All right, so imagine this. Late night television. You see those stupid commercials come on where people, for no apparent reason, suffer at doing everything. Tying your shoe, you fall off a cliff.
Yeah.
Infomercial time, that's what we're looking at. We're looking at D&D and gaming related infomercial style nonsense.
Air Laser's leaving again.
Okay, I'll shut up. I'm sorry.
Fish
Losing everyone.
See, Lindy loves infomercials.
Yeah.
Of course, she just wants some coffee, so of course she ain't leaving us. But
That's fine, guys. Fine. We'll do 2 intros. You guys will have to sit through like 6 minutes of intro.
maybe we need like an intermission one in the middle.
Yep.
Maybe we can do the infomercial as an intermission in the middle. At the halfway mark, we could run the infomercial.
Yeah, emergency bathroom breaks. So, with the memes, that's clearly going on your Twitter, you said. So where could people find your Twitter account?
It's just @foundfamiliar.
@foundfamiliar. Nice and simple.
@foundfamiliar.
Nobody jumped the gun on that one, right? That's good. My own, I got the number 1 stuck to the end of it. I'm like,
Oh.
So
Instagram also.
Yeah.
Just Found Familiar Coffee. I'm not I don't really understand Twitter.
Yeah.
Aaron's
Yep.
a Twitter person.
I'm with you.
So I pretty much man the Instagram, and that's where a lot of the memes start, and then I
It just
try to
makes sense.
post it on most of the platforms. But
Yeah, it made sense. Stick her on Instagram, a program or a
a platform
platform that she understands, and she's really good with, obviously, with memes, so it just made sense. And then,
Perfect.
yeah, I stuck with Twitter because I'm the guy who just like writes out a novel, like if I'm feeling whatever, and like I'll confess my love to you and all that. So
then we have a Facebook, but we're not big Facebook people. But
Yep.
now our Facebook is getting like a bunch of followers, so we're like, we have to pay attention to our Facebook.
Yeah.
Air Laser's asking a
They
question.
talked about that earlier about Gen Con probably being their first convention next year.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, if you guys have any hookups at Gen Con,
we do.
Love to
We
just kind of be a shoe-in.
we have all the hookups.
We do. Yeah.
Fun fact: if you were here for the Stefan Pokorny episode, the owner of Gen Con was on our show for like 5 seconds.
Yeah.
And he was
Oh my
talking, but you couldn't understand him because it was so loud in the bar. They were at a bar at Gen Con. You couldn't understand anybody. Great episode if you ever get a chance to go back and watch it. It's in the collections down there. It's the only place you can find it. We didn't put it on YouTube for obvious reasons. But it's a fantastic episode. Had every one of their dog on there. So they've actually been on the show, technically.
Yeah, the Gygaxes are on there, and all kinds of people.
Yeah, everybody.
Yeah, Air Laser. We actually just finished filling out our application for an exhibitor booth.
At Gen Con.
Yeah, at Gen Con 2020. We're refining it. I've reached out actually to a lot of people who, like a lot of companies that have gotten in to Gen Con in the entrepreneur lane, because if you're a brand new exhibitor, you have to go through entrepreneur lane. So it's 36 spots, hundreds and hundreds of people applying for it. So they get to choose who gets those spots. So we're crossing our fingers.
Yeah, best of luck. I mean, I know it took my dad a long time.
We're refining the application so that it's perfect.
Well,
because
I'll tell you what, if you don't manage to get in as an exhibitor, come to Gen Con anyway. I think at this point, all of us at T22KB are dedicated that we're going. We're gonna like throw a block party or some shit with all the people we can get from the different Twitches and everything coming here.
Oh god, it'd be so fun.
I don't have the dates on the new Gen Con yet for 2020. I know they're out. It's end of July, beginning of August, I believe. So.
Yeah.
July 30th through August 2nd, I think.
Yeah. It's that weekend in Indianapolis. It's always at the Indiana Convention Center. It's a hell of a good time. So
it'll be a mere 5 minutes away from where I'm living. Woo!
Badges go on sale usually in February, so you got to get in early. So February is when you want to keep your eyes open.
Book your hotels super early.
Book your hotels now if you haven't.
Yeah,
you might already be too late.
Legit.
We were looking at
I
that.
was like, we should book a hotel now just in case we get accepted. And he's like, oh, we got time. And I was like, I don't think
No,
we
you
do.
don't. You do not have time.
Like legit, my dad is an artist that it goes there every year. He lost his booth one year because he didn't re-up during the con.
Yeah, they have to re-up during the con to get next year. Like it's that bad. It really legit is. So
you got to be way in front of that one.
I live an hour away, so I just drive over there. But I have couch space available for anyone who gets ousted and doesn't get a hotel. I got some couch space.
Nice. Well, that's great. So we've got, obviously we've been linking your website. We got your Twitch out there. We got your Instagram. Are there any other means of getting a hold of your company and you guys?
Email, I guess, support@foundfamiliar.com.
Yeah, you can email us.
Yeah.
And where are people leaving their reviews of your amazing stuff once they finish?
Directly on the product page.
Awesome.
Yeah, that stuff helps tremendously, by the way. Like, we love seeing the reviews come in. If you hate it, you hate it. But a 1-star review, we don't care. We need to know like where we need to improve. We need to know where we're doing good. It's really helpful for us. So let us know.
Tremendous. And we are definitely somehow already up to our 2-hour mark. So
we are. I got a few things we got to talk about here on the way out. So
well, go ahead, Dustin. Let's get you
all
going.
Right, so like I said, it's going to be a plug-tastic sort of day.
It's been a good one.
First and foremost, our friends over at Geek Unleashed did a dice giveaway, and of course, because I watch all of Geek Unleashed shows, I entered and I won. Woo! So I got this spiffy little business card from Geek Unleashed and my very own set of unicorn rainbow dice.
Nice. Take it to more in front of your face there.
Oh, I'm sorry.
There you go. It's dead center.
This is from Metallic Dice Games. This is who sponsors Geek Unleashed. So I got these today in the mail, and I told him I'd show them off. So
fantastic.
So there they are. Today was our coffee giveaway with Found Familiar. So congratulations again to Laugh Love Lindy for winning that coffee. I just saw her in the chat here a minute ago. Make sure you hang around, get hold of the people here at Found Familiar so they get you that shirt and the coffee of your choice. Also, I still have it here with me, and I'm going to do a better job of getting it on screen today, I promise.
There it is.
This is our next giveaway right here.
This
is a D&D dice necklace.
Oh, wow.
It's sterling silver with lava rock beads and your polyhedron dice. And it was created by Tara Jane Sands, the voice actress of Bulbasaur from all the Pokemon movies. So if you're a Pokemon fan, handmade by Tara Jane Sands. So that is going to be our next giveaway we're going to do in probably like 2 weeks, I think. We're going to do it in a couple of weeks.
I'm going to get this.
Next week on the Wisdom Check here, we have Lords of Gallify Games. I hope I'm saying that correctly. I've never heard it said. I'm just going off of a guess there how to say that. And we're going to be talking about his game, Lords of Gallify, which I think I'm working on Saturday getting a one-shot put together for that Lords of Gallify game. So we're actually going to get to play it before we talk about it next Monday.
Yeah, we're going to try
That'll
to get going.
appear either here on TT2KB or probably over on Notorious DMG. It's supposed to be on Notorious DMG, but I got to get hold of Chuck from Defenders of Cobalt. Another Kansas City person, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Chuck over at Defenders. If you're looking for some friends around there to play some D&D with and other stuff, that is there in town. And yeah, we will go ahead and... Are you hearing me twice?
There's been some serious feedback somewhere.
I bet it's probably their speakers coming through. It's them. I'm loud, so you probably do hear me twice. Sorry about that. So anyway, yeah. So we have that Thursday. Zweihander, Terror and Treefell. That's my game that I run for Zweihander. So if you're a fan of Zweihander, you can check me out here 9 p.m. Central Standard Time for Game 3 Manhunt. Will be start out this Thursday. Saturday was going to be Everstorm. It's not happening. So we have, unfortunately, too many schedule conflicts for Everstorm to take place this Saturday. So there won't be any Everstorm this Saturday. It's unfortunate. We are going to try to maybe get the Lords of Gallify game going on Saturday instead. Mm-hmm. On Friday, between those two, on Grim and Perilous Gaming, I'll be reprising my role as Miguel the Battle Nun.
Yeah.
Where you can watch me do all sorts of magic until I blow myself up. Because that's what happens in Zweihander. When you cast magic, you blow yourself up sometimes. And it's going to happen one of these times. I keep pushing the limit to see how long I can go before I blow myself up trying. So tune in Friday, 9 p.m. for Enemy Within over on Grim and Perilous Gaming. And I didn't think about does it for our plugs for the moment.
That's pretty
solid. Do you have anything, Jeff, you'd like to plug on your way out of here tonight?
Well, yeah, we'll just keep it going. We definitely want to steer people towards our YouTube channel. So if you haven't caught up on all the episodes, and there's been a lot of them now, you can go to our YouTube channel. It is TableTop, the number 2, keyboard, all spelled out. And you'll find all of our old stuff from episode 1 all the way through to what I'm thinking this will be 37. And they're all on there for you, so go check it out.
There's Air Laser with the link.
She is on top of things tonight. Thank you.
I know, mod of the year.
So, yeah, go there. Make sure you get a sub so we can keep you going. And we're also working on some new ideas for some shows. So we got some stuff kicking around, some music stuff. We got some ideas about, like I'm thinking about doing one where I help people come up with character backgrounds and work with them directly. You know, do like kind of teasing it out, little bits and pieces here. Help DMs kind of flesh out NPCs and storylines and that sort of thing. So if that sounds like something interesting to you, let me know just so I have an idea of how much interest and traction there is. And we'll start putting together that show for you as well. Because this next year, we're going to be really pushing it hard on the channel to add some more content for you.
Yeah, we're going to start trying to book this thing up all week long. So my little stream schedule that I keep posted in the Discord, if you're not in our Discord, you need to be. We'll definitely you can go down to the panels and you can find our YouTube, our Twitter, our Discord. You can find links to those things down in the panels if you happen to be on a PC. It's a little harder to find on your phone, but you can get there from the phone as well. It took me a little while, but I figured it out. Other things out there. Oh man, that's what I was going to say. It was right there, and boom, now it's gone. Yes, I remember that. I'm sitting here looking right at him on screen.
We're getting old. That's what's happening.
I am. All this gray hair is starting to really show, and with my brain doesn't want to work this time of night. But huge shout out to our friends at the Drunken Adventure stream team. Mm-hmm. There they are. That's Air Laser, people from the Grouch Couch, Kingfishy, Glitching Hour, who was our guest last week on Wisdom Check. If you didn't catch it out, definitely check out those episodes. They'll be going up on YouTube sometime, probably in the next week or so. And
Really
sorry,
stuff.
Air Laser, we don't have cool thumbnails yet for all those episodes, but we're getting caught up on our art. We have some new emojis coming. We got all the art we've been putting out there for the merch shop, all that sort of stuff. So we got all kinds of cool things going on here at Tabletop to Keyboard. So if you're subbing, we're going to try to make it worth your time and your hours and all that good stuff. So hang out with us every Monday here on Wisdom Check. And Jeff, is there anything else? Do you want to let our guest here? You got anything you want to plug on your way out? One last plug. You got anything?
Let me think.
Nope.
Keep an eye out for a collaboration we have coming out.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. If you're a fan of Critical Role, somebody affiliated with them.
Ooh.
Oh, nice.
A mystery third coffee.
Yeah, the mystery third coffee.
Ooh.
Okay, I'll keep my eye out for that.
The tease. That's awesome. All right. Well,
So,
thank you guys so much for being
thank
here
you.
with us tonight. It's been excellent. Special thanks to my wife, Tara, for coming in and
Yeah.
a lot of expert knowledge on mental health stuff, since it was something that they wanted to talk about tonight as a part of what you can do with gaming and how important gaming can be to some people. So
Yeah, be sure to check out that clinical role if you're interested in that topic. And yeah, super. Thank you guys for coming. And I guess we'll see you next Monday.
peace out.
Later.